Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling a really big one. President Trump's plan for this massive missile defense system, the Golden Dome.
Yeah, it's definitely making waves.
We've gone through reports from the New York Times, Washington Post, Irish Times, and even a pretty fiery opinion piece.
Quite a mix of perspectives there.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack what this Golden Dome thing is really about, look at those different angles, and, well, figure out what it all might mean.
And just to set the stage, the scale it's kind of breathtaking, isn't it?
It really is. This isn't just tweaking the existing system. We're talking potentially billions, maybe hundreds of billions, using air, land, sea, and space to shield the whole U.S.
The ambition is just huge, and the sources say this has been a priority for Trump since day one of his term, basically.
He talked about it during the campaign, right? Like an American Iron Dome.
He did, but, comparing it to Israel's Iron Dome, the U.S. is vastly bigger, the threats are arguably more complex, it's a whole different ballgame.
Okay, so let's dig into the actual proposal. The articles really stress the goal. A super strong shield against foreign missiles. The worry is about catastrophic attacks.
Right, and Trump sounded pretty confident he could get it done within his term, so roughly 3 years left from when he announced it.
3 years?
Yeah.
For something this massive?
That's the claim. And the system is supposed to intercept missiles from anywhere, even from space.
Wow, okay. And there was that executive order back in January.
Yeah, the Iron Dome of America order. It told the Pentagon to come up with the plan in 60 days.
60 days seems ambitious.
Very. And interestingly, that same order pushed for faster hypersonic missile development.
Wait, hypersonics? Aren't those the kind of missiles this dome's supposed to stop?
Precisely. It's a curious detail, isn't it? The order also wanted space-based interceptors looked at.
And the Pentagon picked the name Golden Dome.
Seems so. Maybe playing on the president's known preference for the word golden.
So what threats are we actually talking about defending against?
The big ones, really. Ballistic missiles, those super fast hypersonic ones, cruise missiles. Mainly thinking about potential launches from Russia, China, North Korea.
And the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, he called it a game changer.
A game changer, a generational investment. Big words.
And the guy running the show is General Getling from the Space Force.
General Michael Getlin, yeah. Vice Chief of Space Operations. His involvement really tells you something.
What does it tell us? That space is key here.
Absolutely. Getlin's role highlights just how central space-based systems are expected to be. His comments point to this concern that, while the U.S. was focused elsewhere, adversaries were busy upgrading their nuclear stuff and building more missiles.
So the Golden Dome is meant to kind of reset that balance. Beef up homeland defense.
That's the fundamental idea, yes.
Yeah.
To change the strategic calculus.
Okay, let's pivot to the practical side.
Correct.
Scale and cost. That Iron Dome comparison falls apart pretty quick when you think about size, right?
Completely. Israel's tiny compared to the U.S., like 400 times smaller, one source mentioned. Defending that much territory against advanced threats it's exponentially harder.
And the cost estimates are just wild. Trump said, what, $175 billion?
That was his number. But the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, they came back with a much wider range.
Well, why?
Potentially up to $542 billion just for the space component spread over, 20 years.
$500 billion just for the space part.
Potentially. It just shows how much uncertainty there is. A huge financial commitment, no matter how you slice it.
And Congress has already put money down.
Reportedly, yes.
Yep.
$25 billion allocated in the next defense budget to get things started.
But even that,
Yeah.
One article pointed out we've already spent around $300 billion on missile defense over the last 40 years.
That's right. And the feeling is the threat's still growing despite that spending. That context is really important.
So this Golden Dome, it's not one single thing, is it?
No, not at all. Experts think it's more like stitching together maybe 100 or more programs.
100 programs. Wow.
Yeah, think of it like trying to get 100 different complex software systems to work together perfectly. You'd need new radars, new sensors, new interceptors, a whole new command and control system, pulling it all together.
That sounds incredibly complex.
Right.
And definitely not like something you build in 3 years.
Well, that's what industry analysts are saying, especially about the space-based parts. They expect that to take much, much longer.
And Canada might be involved.
There's mention of Canada being interested, wanting coverage too, but the details on that seem pretty thin right now.
All this ambition. It does kind of echo Reagan's Star Wars, doesn't it?
It really does. And Trump himself made that comparison. Of course, Star Wars, the Strategic Defense Initiative, it kind of fizzled out, didn't it?
Yeah, because the tech wasn't ready and the cost was astronomical.
Exactly. Trump's argument now is that, well, technology's caught up, that this time it's feasible.
But are the experts convinced? The article seemed a bit skeptical on that front.
That's a really key point. Everyone agrees the threats are getting more serious: ICBMs, sub-launched missiles, cruise missiles, and especially those hypersonic weapons the DIA mentioned.
Right, the really fast, maneuverable ones.
Yeah, those are the game changers that are much harder to hit. So while the threat is real, there are significant doubts about whether current technology can actually build the kind of foolproof shield Trump envisions. That leap from concept to a working system on this scale,
Uh-huh.
it's massive.
Which brings us to some of the sharper criticisms. That opinion piece we read didn't pull any punches, did it?
No, it certainly did not. Calling the Golden Dome a Trump Hegseth scam and a Musk-style pipe dream, pretty strong language.
Very strong. It presents a really critical view, suggesting maybe the motives aren't purely defensive. It even joked about Elon Musk being Trump's co-POTUS.
Yeah, the piece really leans into the Musk connection.
How so? What's the argument there?
Well, the author suggests this whole project might be a way to funnel huge government contracts towards Musk's company, SpaceX, especially since SpaceX is apparently already angling for that work.
And the piece mentioned Musk's political donations, too.
It did. It paints a picture, or at least raises the question, of a kind of transactional relationship. The argument in that piece is that maybe this is about channeling money, filthy, gilded lucre, as the author put it, to Trump's allies.
In exchange for what? Continued funding for Musk's other businesses. Less regulation.
That's the implication put forward by the author. They portray both Trump and Musk as showmen good at selling huge, maybe unrealistic projects for their own benefit.
And the author points to other Musk projects.
Yeah, things like the Hyperloop, Tesla's full self-driving, the Optimus robot, Mars colonization, presented as examples of big promises that haven't quite materialized as pitched.
So the core argument is that the tech for Golden Dome just isn't there.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
That the tech needed for this vision doesn't exist on Earth right now and would take decades of R&D.
And the potential downsides mentioned in that piece.
Huge concerns about the cost bankrupting the country, taking money from other vital things, plus the risk of sparking a new arms race, encouraging other countries to build even nastier weapons to beat the shield.
A dangerous spiral.
Potentially. The author also suggests the whole thing could just be a big distraction from other political stuff.
The piece also touched on Trump's relationship with the military, right?
Yeah.
Suggesting this might be about mending fences.
It did, noting past controversies and floating the idea that maybe Golden Dome is a way to get back in the good graces of the military establishment, and importantly, defense contractors.
Kind of like the big, beautiful wall promise.
That comparison was made, yes, implying maybe it's another grand promise where the details are fuzzy and the funding could end up in unexpected places. There was that quote about it being like a slush fund, because there's no detailed plan yet.
A slush fund. That's a serious concern.
It highlights the worry about accountability with such a massive, vaguely defined project kicking off.
Okay, so synthesizing all this, it's really two very different pictures, isn't it?
Absolutely. On one hand, you've got this vision of a high-tech shield, a necessary defense against real and growing threats.
But on the other hand,
You've got deep skepticism, questions about whether it's even technologically possible right now, worries about the absolutely staggering cost, and suggestions of political or even personal financial motives driving it.
especially given the history with Star Wars,
Mhm.
even with tech advances, it makes you wonder what's fundamentally different this time.
It really does. The uncertainties are just enormous. Can the tech actually do it? Can we afford it? What are the real reasons behind pushing it so hard right now?
So for you listening, as you weigh all this, the tech challenges, the immense cost, these really conflicting views on why this is happening, what big questions does it raise for you about, national security, where technology is heading, and maybe how these huge government contracts actually work?
Lots to think about.
Definitely. That wraps up our deep dive for today. Thanks for tuning in.